these people holding up the Mexican flag, but nobody wants to live in Mexico. If we wouldn't want to live in Mexico, then why do the tios, the señores, the men, and the women too? They be working here for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. They just live in one room sharing it with a bunch of dudes. They send all their money back so they can build houses for their families, and they can't wait. They're just counting down the minutes in a year until when they can actually go back. Even las familias that live here, buying houses over there too. Every Mexican that I know own their houses here. They buy a house in Mexico too. They're building it or they're already bought it. So yes, nobody wants to live in the United States. I was born in the United States and I don't want to live in the United States. The next 5 years, I'm moving back to Mexico. Yes, we do want to live in Mexico. The only thing is that we're just making money here so we can actually go back to live in Mexico. Ain't nobody trying to live in this sweatshop of a country with a Gucci belt on. The fuck?
Okay, so what she's saying, and what a lot of protesters seem to be saying, touches on what would serve as the best explanation for much of the immigration and illegal immigration that takes place in this country, and that is, of course, money. Others are talking about how in Mexico they work an entire day and not earn 15 American dollars. And much of said economic disparity between the US and Mexico can be attributed to the exchange rate. As it stands today, $1 US is worth about 18 pesos. Just to put that in perspective, let's say for the sake of argument that we had a similar exchange rate with Canada. We obviously don't, but let's say we do, okay? For the sake of argument, let's say that a person in America doing the same job at the same rate and the same hours in Canada, making $18 per hour for every dollar we earn here, a person doing that in America, working the same $15 an hour job here, would be making $10,000 a week in US dollars. Several Mexicans who live close to the border are actually commuting back and forth across the border for work for this exact reason. This also explains why so many of them here illegally are willing to work for less than what an American would make for the same job. They either send the money back home to Mexico or choose to work as day laborers or contractors going back and forth. Either way, they actually still benefit because of the exchange rate. And whether they like to admit it or not, many businesses benefit from the lower labor costs of hiring illegals as well. And when I started to dig further into which countries have the most immigrants coming to the US, India, China, the Philippines, Dominican Republic, Cuba, Vietnam, all of them would have a similar benefit solely off their exchange rates. Now granted, some of them do have big problems with corruption and the government that would have driven them to come here too as well. You know, India's one, Cuba's obviously one, Jamaica, Haiti, they got problems like that. But because the government had a long-standing practice of having looser immigration standards than any other country in the world, which seems to largely be for political reasons. Give us you're tired, you're poor, you're sick, and you're hungry. You're also giving us your criminals and people who don't actually give a fuck and just want your money. It raises a pretty serious question that seriously challenges what a lot of Americans want to believe. If the favorable exchange rate is the strongest benefit an immigrant has here, is it actually better to live here? Mexico would be the country where coming here illegally would be the most feasible compared to other countries. Everybody else has to get some kind of shady black market plane ticket or boat ticket and some fake passports or something. Mexicans can just pay a white guy to drive them here and get them past customs or something. While corruption and poverty does seem to be worse in a lot of other countries, what are the other benefits? Are the schools better? Nope. Is the legal system more lenient? Nope. Do we favor peace over war? Fuck no! At least the government doesn't. I'm aware that I'm sounding unpatriotic, but at the same time, it's really hard to foresee a solution to any of these problems when nearly every elected president does nothing but say what sounds good to get elected and then pass laws that fuck things up worse. Ironically enough, even though I never liked Trump and never really thought the tariffs were a good idea, if the impact of these tariffs ends up weakening the value of the US dollar, which many are speculating could happen, we may end up with a lot of immigrants leaving on their own because they no longer benefit from the exchange rate, leaving us to deal with retaliatory tariffs already being imposed by China and Canada, and higher inflation, because God knows we need more of that. Take your pick. I guess we're fucked no matter what we do.